Good morning, it's Harvey Jackson. Just going to get through some news items here. Fertilizer importance, just covering what you can see here. When there was no fertilizer, how corn yield in relation to putting fertilizer, but there's genetics in here as well that keeps this yield going up. But you're looking at just over 20 bushels to the acre yield. Now you're looking at 180. And the background here is talking about percentage of farmers unable to afford all needed fertilizer. So some of that, a lot of the fertilizer is already down, but the extra little bit to be able to get the big yields are not there. So you're going to be shaving some of this away. And just looking at what the world would sustain without fertilizer, you would say 7 billion people, and it looks like just shy of 4 billion without fertilizer. So how important is it? Quite important when you look at it. Commitment traders, overall position, just over 805,000 positions. This is dated information though. It comes out on Friday from which just basically quotes the previous Tuesday to Tuesday information. What it did show was record long on Minneapolis wheat and soybean oil. I believe soybean oil continues to count up as well. So on the soybean oil side, the crush just keeps moving up. Decent or reduced stocks or oil stocks. It's in an okay area. Monthly crush just keeps on putting out more output. The other one that I want to point out is your oil yield is actually lower than it has been for the last 4 or 5 years here. Still in an increasing trend, but just lower yield than the last 4 or 5 years. And that's concerning when you have to crush more beans to be able to get the same amount of oil as you would have at the last few years. Just a graphic here, you can see the amount of debt that these liberal governments, I shouldn't say it's all liberal, because look at, there's a surplus there and a deficit there. Yeah, it's just amazing. And talking about debt, I thought I would put this on the same screen. The Minette shutting down comments on all social media as they did sell their maybe they sold their comment section to the Ritchie brothers too. Yeah, there's who can afford the $1,500 a ton fertilizer. Just another play on there's Clown Show Carney dressed up. Mark Nixon just makes a point here. Mark Carney says sovereign wealth fund makes us stronger and more independent by investing in port in Hudson Bay, which is frozen 6 months. I would challenge that. That's probably even more than that. Windmills in Nova Scotia sees hurricanes every year, and carbon capture that doesn't make any money. Yeah, that's a good place to put all your money. Let's quick look at the weather. Some frost and warnings over here. This is basically just capturing what we see right now and as it moves across here as well. So that's May 7th. So that Thursday has still got some frost in there. Rain going across Manitoba here. And it looks like there is going to be some moisture in just about all weather models in the Kansas area. Now, how much will it be is the question, and that's going for the next week. There's still so much areas that are going to be deficient in the red winter wheat growing areas. So, well, but it could speed up planting. Soil moisture, just the top 4 inches basically. There's still a bullseye there, and amazingly, you don't see that there's a problem there, but definitely maybe advanced planting in the Minneapolis wheat growing area there. So red winter wheat did decrease in drought by 1 percentage point. And some of this moisture problems in this area right here on South America has been reduced. Quick look at the markets. Canola is basically flat at 756, slightly up for new crop at 758. Rapeseed is up $5.50 in Europe. Soybean oil is still tracking up. It hasn't really slowed down at all. Palm oil is up as well. Crude oil 105 and Brent at 114. So that strength in some of these other oils is not going to allow the canola to actually maybe fall apart like the chart might be suggesting on November or on the July versus November. November seems to have some strength. Soybeans up 6 cents. So the soybeans are finally taking some advances with the soybean oil advances. Spring wheat down 3 cents. Hard red winter down 4.5. Oats trading just slightly up. Corn is basically flat at 480, For new crop, it looks like it's trying to touch that $5 mark, and that's a key area where a lot of people are going to be pricing. Canadian dollar just slightly down. So let's just get into it here. So you can see soybean oil since the beginning of the year has done nothing but just keep on going up. Canola is up 20%, following the soybean oil. The palm oil is up 13%, and your soybeans are up 11. So when you look at it just from just the same chart, you can see that we did pull off of that blow off top or whatever area on the November contract, and looks like we're getting to that secondary or that first decision level area, and kind of rejected it and rejected the short-term moving average as well. So when you look at it on the November, it does have some red days there, but it is way above and still kind of wanting to trade through there. European rapeseed, still moving up by the look of this. Same thing with the soybean oil. It just keeps on trading up and above the short-term moving averages. So this can stay here for quite some time. Soybeans finally broke out on Friday, and looks like it's going to continue that trend. Palm oil needs to get above this this line here, and we'll see if it can actually do that. Crude, ugly days. Keeps on putting pressure on the world market. Same thing with the Brent. And your diesel fuel futures look like we're going to have a little bit of a pullback, but now we're up against that short-term moving average on the diesel fuel futures. Canadian dollar, Scotiabank sees Canadian dollar strength as U.S. dollar weakness supports outlook. So you can see this almost looks like it's going to keep going up here, but moving up against that 78.6 retracement value and above the short-term moving averages as well. When you look at the U.S. dollar index, it's chopping sideways here and closer to the bottom end of that range. And your S&P, it does not know that there's a problem in the rest of the world. It sure doesn't. Look at wheat. When you look at farther back, that's this retracement area. It looks like it could be pulling back. But I'm not convinced as of just yet, but it has pulled back. You could make some sales here for new crop as well. Kansas, Chicago, all above that trend line. And then your corn futures here, retesting some of these area that we were having trouble breaking out of. Cattle and feed areas. So look at this. We're at 61% drought. It almost follows the same as your Kansas wheat area as far as drought percentage, but there's a lot of cattle that are in drought areas, that's for sure. And I think that's what keeps the support on this market, for sure. And that's all I have for you today. Looking forward to two more reports there, one this week and one next week.